This is for Clay, so you can see me put it together. This is for Lisa because she says she likes knolling, so I'm going to do some knolling and some time lapse. So my brother gave me and my wife one of these Ironton rolling garden seat with turn bar. I'm reading this backwards in the phone, and I was going to put it together. Might as well. Well, and what's funny is when it was delivered to my brother, whoever delivered it left the box in the yard in the rain, so the box collapsed, and so as I picked it up, it just fell apart. So all the parts were just in the trunk of the car, and so I'm pulling them out and I'm going to put them together now. More tools. I needed a slightly fatter head. This is not much fatter, but the screw is slipping. Alright, so this screwdriver head's still not big enough, but I'm going to try a trick that I saw on the YouTubes where you take a rubber band and put it over the head. And yes, I know, use the right tool. I don't have a thicker flathead screwdriver. I don't know why. Some of the fastener choices for this are kind of silly. This is a round head, which makes sense, is facing outward for the basket and for the storage bin thing here, so you don't scratch yourself on it. But the lengths on these things are ridiculous. I may go back and put nylon washers in the gaps here on the steering mechanism, just so it doesn't scratch the paint off. I know nobody's going to care, but I like to keep my things in good shape, and it will add a little slight lubrication to this mechanical on mechanical connection. I'm going to go inflate the tires before I put the rest of it together. In retrospect, it's getting dark, so I'm going to put the wheels on it and then blow them up. Or one part of the assembly that I didn't need the instructions. Ran out of daylight, so I will resume this tomorrow. And of course, when you need them, some of my wrenches are scattered, and I say scattered in air quotes because they're for tractor work, and they may be with the tractor. So I've got to locate those. Otherwise, I'll be forced to use an adjustable wrench, which I know everybody is going to cringe over. All right, so on these parts, right here, right here, right here, and its sister mate over here. I'm not real keen on the idea of the metal rubbing against metal, so also it's just the head of the nut and then the bolt on the bottom side rubbing against this plate, which is eventually going to rub the paint off, which I'm not a big fan of. So I have a washer to go on top, I have a washer to go on bottom, and I have a nylon washer to go in between so that the metal and metal aren't rubbing on each other. So let's see how it goes. So you can see I put the bigger washer, got the nylon washer, then the metal member, big washer, and then the nut on the back, which is actually a nylock, so they should all stay together. But now the metal won't rub on itself as much, and there'll still be some friction up here. I could have put the nylons up there, but I bought this stuff 6 or 7 months ago, and I'm finally getting around to it. Okay, so I got that in there. No crunching. I've got a little slop. I'm not going to be able to completely improve this design. There's a little slop side to side there. I guess I could put a nylon sheath on there. And I may look into doing that. It's not overly loose. It seems to be a good tightness once you're sitting on it. This is meant to steer as you kind of scooch down the aisle. One of the last things to do is put the seat on here, but I was just looking at this and it unscrews to raise up so that you can get your tickets a little higher off the ground. Ta-da! That's kind of cool. So if I were to go all the way down, actually it doesn't really matter because you're probably going to be sitting sideways. So this is a conventional old tractor seat like a Ford or an International or a Farmall or something like that. It's conformed to your buttocks. And this will go on here. Line up with the big holes. With this oversized Phillips on. A really chintzy washer on the bottom. And a lock nut. It's hard to see. A very chintzy washer. Put the lock nut on the bottom, but it'll work just fine. Gonna drop those guys in there to keep my place. So I did forget to put on a couple of little reinforcing plates. They go on the underside of the seat between the attachment hardware and the plastic, just because it is plastic. It's a tool tray, but this is just to add some reinforcement. There's one on the front, one on the back. Now I can work on the one on the back. Sometimes you just forget that you've got tools that make it go a little bit quicker. Mom, you can skip ahead about a minute and a half. So this is taking a little bit longer, and I forgot the thing I was need to put on. Because snorkeling and wiping the tears out of my eyes. As I mentioned early in the video, this was a Christmas present from my brother. And as I've been sitting here putting this together, I realized this is probably the last time that I got to see him. Was when he was handing me this soggy cardboard box that the UPS guy had left in the yard. Didn't bother to put it on the carport. And he didn't know it was there, so he didn't know to pull it in. And he couldn't even lift it out of the truck when he gave it to me, so. There. Now all I gotta do is tighten that up. So here it is. Squeak, squeak. Oh. That's the axle. All I'm doing is spinning everything. I think I remembered this last time. Now, if I could get both sides equally accommodating. Gonna have to work on that. I don't want all the, this is a single axle going through the middle, and I don't want all of the thread coming off of one side. And now the nut on this side wants to come loose. Set of vice grips to the rescue, and I'll hold on to it and get those locked down. But okay, so the last thing to do was to inflate the tires, which I did, and the steering mechanism. Whee! Works rather nicely. This is Ironton, which is, the brand is typically at Northern Tool. My brother ordered this off Amazon. Oh, I see the problem. I'm spinning and trying to steer at the same time. So you can pick these up. I don't remember the costs associated with them, and costs change over time, but this is, I think this is at the lowest. So that's at the lowest setting, and so my knees are straight out from my body and flat, so to weed wouldn't be too terribly bad. Got longer legs, and this thing also supports up to like 300 pounds. I could probably play with that for hours. And so now I'm a little bit further from the ground, but if you're taller, or if you're working on raised beds would be about this high anyway, and you'd be able to do stuff. Working on the underside of a tree, that would work. And, you know, it moved my head almost out of frame. Now my head's mostly back in frame. The tool tray under the bottom for whatever you need, trowels, little scratcher things, gloves. Got a little basket on the back that you could also put stuff in. Somewhere along the line, I thought there was like a trailer hitch for a wagon. That would be silly, but people would buy it. The steering mechanism, I'll probably loosen up a little bit after it gets some wear. The tires inflate up to 30 psi, which will support me quite well. 300 pounds total, 5 pounds in the plastic tray, because there's a sticker still down in there. Anyway, this is the conclusion of this build. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Too many hobbies, not enough time.
It's a theme song, y'all.